What's up guys, this is Josh from KeepItTechie, and today I want to show you guys a application that I wrote that may help you with your backups. So as I stated in the intro, I basically wrote an application. It's not really an application, it's basically a bash script that will allow you to handle backups on a schedule if you want to. So I basically went through, I used this application called Borg to do backups, and then I also added another dependency within the application called password generator, which is pwgen. It's an application that generates random passwords for you from the terminal. And so I combined all that and came up with a script that I currently use to handle all my backups on a cron job. And so I just wanted to go on and show you guys this actual application that I wrote. It's also on GitHub, and actually I'll bring up the GitHub now so you guys can see it, and I'll have a link to the description, or the link to the code or the GitHub page down in the description below. So let's go on and go to that first. That way I can kind of read about it and show you guys a little bit about the actual application. So let's get started. Okay, cool. So here is the application. It's on my GitHub under KeepItTechie. It's called KITbackup. So like I said, I'll link that down in the description of the video, but it's basically like 3 files. It's basically the backup script, and then a readme, and then the license, you know what I'm saying? So you can clone this down, and let me go down and walk you through how it actually works. And let me just read the notes that I wrote there. Backup script using Borg and pwgen. It requires Borg Backup and pwgen to work. This was built to simplify the backup process I use. So let's go down and open up the code. I'm not going to open it up here, but you can open it up here and read it. You can also help me out by possibly making the code a little better if you want to learn some bash script. You can clone it down and test it on your own machine and change it, modify it, and submit changes to the code if you want to. And if it comes out, whatever you come up with, you know, benefits it, then, you know, I'll update it on the GitHub page. But let's go down in and open it up. I'm actually going to open it up in Atom, which is what I use to develop code in. So just give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, cool. So this is Atom. I think I did a video on this in the past. It's just basically an application that allows people to develop code in a simpler way. It's just a, you know, glorified text editor, but it's called the hackable text editor because you basically can add, you know, a whole bunch of add-ons to the actual application to make coding a whole lot better, which it, you know, it totally benefited me, you know what I'm saying? Certain things like cleaning up the code, making it look right and all that stuff, you know, they have those options, you know, you can add to it or add it as an add-on to the actual application, and it will like beautify your code. Like if you don't have the time to go through and you know, tab everything out, space it out properly and all that stuff, so your code is readable, this application, you know, is real good with that. You know, you can beautify your code after you finish writing it. So anyway, this is the actual script. So it's backup.sh. Started out with bin bash, and then I just wrote some notes up here at the top, just so anybody that looks at it, you know, they want to, you know, see what I actually use to actually create the script. But pretty much I broke it up in 3 different parts. There is an initialize procedure. I just call it a init procedure, and then there is the backup procedure. This handles the backup code, and then down here is the actual if then statement or select case statement, and it basically loops through based on your input. So just to kind of explain it, I'll break it down as much as I can. The first thing, you have to declare all this. With bash scripting, you have to declare a lot of things beforehand before you actually do something. So actually this will pop up first. This will prompt, that's why I put number 1 there, but it says prompt user, is this a new repository? So what it does is it'll pop up on the screen, basically ask you, is this a new backup repository? So you put yes or no, and based on your response, or Y and N, so either one of those, and depending on how you respond, it will call a couple of these procedures up at the top. So it all depends on which one it is. So if you type yes, this is the select case right here for your response. So if you type Y, it's going to ask you to enter the path to the new repository. So this is basically where you want Borg to create the destination of the repository, the backup repository. So this is where all the backups will be stored. So you just basically type in the path. So it could be, a hard drive or external hard drive that you have plugged in or something. Just make sure mount it in the same location, or create a location under mount, and each time you want to run the backup, you just plug it up and it should automatically mount to that location, or you can create something where it'll mount to that location every single time you plug in the hard drive. But anyway, since it's a new repository, it doesn't have any of the configuration files for it. And what I do is I create a simple configuration file that stores the password as well as storing the destination of the repository. So that's why you want to make sure you plug the drive into the same directory, because that's stored in the configuration file of the bash script, or that's called by the bash script. And if your repository is in a different location, it's not gonna know where it is. But anyway, so you put in the destination right here, and then this right here is how you generate the new password. This is basically the name of the password that it'll use, or the string name, and then this is the actual generation of the password. This is the command to generate the password. So it'll generate a random password with like 15 characters, random characters, and I can't remember what I specify. I can't remember what each one of these options mean, but when I created this script, I went through and actually came up with the best options to create the best password for this script or whatever. And then the next thing, since it's a new repository, it's going to create a new configuration file. So this is basically the touch command. It's going to create that configuration file within the same location, which I'm actually thinking about moving it to where it like stores it in the home directory of the user. So I'll probably update that before this video comes out. So this may be slightly different on the location where the configuration file is stored, but currently the version I'm showing you right now is being stored in the same location as the script. And then right here, it'll write the actual password as the first line within the configuration file. And then right here, it'll write the destination, which was declared up here in the configuration file, as the second thing. That's why it has two of the right arrows that lets the echo command know to write that to the end of the file. So it'll create a new line and insert the destination there. And that's basically the information that's needed in the configuration file to actually, work the script. Because once you create the repository, you won't need to create it again, obviously, so it'll skip a lot of this. But this is, like I said, the initial setup once you actually go through it. And then right here is just echoes out saying initializing a new backup repository. And then right here is calling the init repo. So that goes back up here to the top. This is the init repo that is calling. So it's the initialized procedure. That's basically what I call it. And then this basically gets it ready and creates the repository, the Borg Backup repository for you. So it declares the configuration file, it pulls the password from the configuration file, and then it generates the actual initial setup of the repository right here. And I can't remember why I threw the export Borg password I don't know why I threw that in there. That might not be needed. I think I put it in there because I was testing something out. I might remove that, but all I have to do is pull it from the configuration file. It's basically pulling the first line in the configuration file to create the initial setup of the repository. Now, if we go back down here into the select case, then after the initialization of the repo is done, then it echoes out basically saying it's creating the first backup, and so it'll call a backup procedure from here. And so basically the backup procedure is used on both sides of the select case, and I'll show you that port after this, but let me go up to the backup procedure so you guys can see. So backup procedure is basically calling that or declaring that configuration file that we created in the initialization process, and then it's pulling the password from the first line in the document using the seg command, and then it's pulling the destination from the seg using the seg command. It's the second row or the second line, and then this is where it'll ask you for the directory you want to back up. So you have to declare that at this point. You'll basically specify whatever directory. So it could be a home directory, it could be whatever you want. So just type that in, you know what I'm saying? So in the format of like what you're going to, and this example right here. So like I used a test folder, and that's what I wanted to back up. I just wanted to back up that folder just to run a test to see if it works. So you put that in here, and then once it declares that, then you get to go, because this will be called when he actually does the backup procedure. So right here, this is some formatting. This is what I want, how I want to format the actual backup. I basically pull in the date, the day, and the host name, and then I want to build a backup name by using the stuff that I pulled. And actually, I think I might not have needed the day. I can't remember if I needed it or not. I probably don't. Yeah, that might not need to be declared either. I think I was trying to figure out something, but really all I needed was the host name, and I used the option to pull in just the name of the server. And then this actually creates the backup name for it. So it'll be host name, then the date, and I use year, month, day, and then the time after that with a dash in between it. So that will generate the actual name. This actually generates the name of the backup, and you can modify this if you want to. You know, you can do it however you want to, but I specified date and time, or day and time, because I was doing testing and I didn't want it to I didn't want the backups to have the same exact day or the date. So the time will distinguish the backup. So I was running like backups back to back, you know what I'm saying? So just testing it or whatever. And then right here, this is where it says start backup procedure using variables. So basically everything we declared above, this is where the backup procedure will actually happen. So it says start backup procedure using variables. So echo, and this is just to display to you guys, or whoever's actually using the script, is basically saying backup of the backup directory, which we declared up here, and then to the destination Borg Backup. So the Borg Backup location that we specified. Well, the destination, and then the Borg Backup name. So that's the actual name. So we just specify. I just did that so it'll just show you what all you have in there. So I'm not sure why I put the date in there. I think I might have put the date in there just to display the dates. But then this is where I actually pull in that Borg password. Borg actually has some built-in commands that you can, call the password that's stored. And once it's initialized and once it's created, and it's also unlocked, or you unlocked it, which we unlocked it when we initialized it, it'll ask you for the password again. So I just threw this in there just so it'll pull a password from there. And then this right here will actually create the backup. And this right here will basically echo out the command of the backup. So it's everything put together. And that just echoes it out on the screen so you guys can see it. And then it actually runs it. So, and that may not be needed. That might be something I was using to actually track what I was doing, or where was that when in the command when I was kind of like debugging and stuff. And then right here it just prints a end status. It says basically backup completed, and then echo the day. Now that's basically the backup procedure right there, which was called right here. And then if you go down here to no, when you first run the script, if you would have answered no here, then it would have went, or up here, sorry, is this a new backup repository? If you would have answered no here, then it would have jumped right here, and it'll assume that you already have a configuration file in place. So just make sure you keep track of your configuration file, because it's going to look for it. And this is the part right here. It's another if statement. Like if it cannot find the configuration file within the current location of the actual script, then echo file not found, or I should put config file not found just to make it, make more sense. But if that works, I mean, if that happens, it'll exit out. But if it's found, then it'll move on to the next one. That's just basically a check just to make sure that the configuration file is there. And then right here is where it will actually, this is basically saying that the configuration file has been found. It's going to basically test to see if that file is there, and then it'll echo out. It says existing configuration file found, and then echo create new backup. So it's basically going to say it's creating a new backup, and then it'll start that backup procedure, which we just went through it. And the first thing it's going to do is look at that configuration file and build everything from the variables set within the configuration file. So hopefully it's still there, you know what I'm saying? And it should go through the process from there without any hiccups. And I've tested it multiple times. I kind of played around with it. I also shared it with a few people just for them to test it out, just to see if it works. And it works, 100%. I haven't had any issues with it. I've mainly used it in Orch, but as long as you have the Borg installed as well as password generator, then you shouldn't have any issues. And so I will go ahead on and I'm gonna delete this configuration file that I created. This is for another one that I did, and I'm gonna run through the script and just show you how it works right fast. So that shouldn't take too long, but let me delete this configuration file, and I'm gonna go into the terminal. So just give me 1 second. I'm gonna bring up my other screen. And cool, so I have the terminal up, and let's go on and run through the actual script right fast so you guys can see. So what I want to do is cd to that directory. So cd, and it's basically under Python folder, I think, Python underscore KIT, and then I think backup dev. Yeah, that's the directory. And then let me just go there and let me ls just to make sure. Yeah, and that's the Borg script right there. And let me go into that directory. So the Borg script directory. So Borg scripts, press enter. Okay, and let's ls that directory. As you can see, that's the bash script. So we type period and then the / and then the backup.sh. That will actually run the script. It's already set to execute. I'm not sure if you're gonna have to download it to you, or when you download it to your system, if you're gonna have to make those changes to it, but you basically change it to executable or make it executable, and then just press enter, and run the actual script. So like I said, that's the first step. Is this a new backup repository? I'm gonna type yes, and then press enter. And then it's going to ask you for the new path for the repository. And I have a test folder, a test directory. This is where I want to create the repository. So type in home, Josh, and then test Borg. And that's what I named it. So you just type that in, test Borg, press enter, and it's going to initialize and create that actual repository. It goes through and creates that password and everything, and you don't have to remember the password or anything because it generates that configuration file. And just to show you right fast before we continue, you'll see that the configuration file is back there. So that's a new configuration file. Now let me go back to the actual terminal and let's continue with the script. But pretty much enter the directory you want to back up. So you basically put that in. So let's go home, Josh, and you have to make sure you type it in right. And there is no tab function on here. And maybe that's something somebody can help me out with. Just making this thing a little bit more interactive, where people can tab and all that stuff. I hadn't got that deep into it, so this is something I wrote like 4 months ago, and I was kind of fumbling through it a little bit because I don't remember everything I did and why I did it. So I'm glad I wrote notes in there. But so the directory is basically named test, so we could type that in and press enter, and it'll go through and create that first backup. So good to go. And you can scroll through this and see all the notes of everything that it did. And this is basically the output from Borg right here. This breaks it all out, you know, everything that happened when we ran the actual Borg command from the script. Now if we run it again, let's say we want to create another backup, we can run that script again. All we have to do is type no or in, and then if we want to back up a different directory, I kind of left this open, so if we want to back up a different directory, then we could put it there. But I'm gonna use that same backup directory, so home, Josh, and then that test directory, and press enter, and it'll go through and back it up again without any more input. All you have to do is put in that location that you want. And I might be able to make some modifications to it. I didn't want to lock it down because you can, you know, if it's a new repository and let's say you back up the same stuff every single time, then you can modify this code and like hard code a specific directory into the actual script. And so therefore it'll back up that script every single time, and you can kind of mute out that question that it asks you, what's the directory that you want to back up. So that's up to you. Like I said, I wrote this code for anybody that, you know, wants it and want to try it and use it to possibly help them with their backup procedure. And I know you could do rsync. I know you could do the other backup utilities that are built into it, but it's something that I've always talked about, like when I do my live streams, that in order to learn something, you have to actually create something, or you actually have to have something to create. And so backups, you know, is something that I was just tinkering around with, just trying to figure out, and it just sparked an idea, you know, in my head to actually come up and create a bash script that can handle this stuff to make things easier for me. So that's how programming is. I mean, you find a problem and then you try to build something to become the solution for the actual problem. So like I said, I wrote this script like 4 months ago, but you guys check it out if you want to. Like I said, I'm gonna have a GitHub link down in the description below. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'm planning on doing a little bit more programming, or adding some more programming to my actual channel. I've been studying Python for a while. I just haven't came up with any like projects that I want to work on. So if I do come up with something pretty soon, that's something I might start a series on my channel, so you guys can learn Python with me. But like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please thumbs up the video. Please share with anybody that's interested in bash scripting. It's something cool to actually learn, and it may help you in the future if you're trying to get into, you know, different jobs and everything. But hope you guys have a good night and keep it techie.